Hello and welcome to another video. I am at a different place that I don't think you guys have seen before. Here for the night. I've got some fishing stuff, I've got a fire pit, I've got some wood. It's October at the time of filming, so as I'm sure you can imagine, it's going to start getting dark very early. So I'm in various different social groups for camping and bushcraft, and I've had a couple of people inquire about tarp setups and just generally how to do it. So obviously I would never claim to be an expert in a field that I'm not an expert in, so disclaimer, I'm not an expert. However, if you are new to using tarps, then there will potentially be a lot of problems that you might come across. So I'm just going to use this video to show you one of the main problems that you'll probably encounter when setting up a tarp for the first time and how to combat that. So when you get a tarp, you want to try and make sure that you get one that has tabs, not grommets or eyelets, because they can actually rip out under pressure and tension, whereas these tabs are really securely sewn in. This is actually a brand new one, so this is a really good example. You'll also find that some tarps will come with this sort of silver reflective lining on the underside. While it is a bit garish, that's actually for heat retention. So if you can get a tarp with that lining on it and you plan to maybe have a small fire, or you've got a fire pit or a heater or something, that will do wonders for reflecting your body heat as well as the heat of the fire. Now obviously, I'm sure you can imagine that when you set up a tarp, you need all the edges and the faces of the tarp to be flat and straight and under tension. So that's a good example. But sometimes you'll find that it's actually quite hard to get a face to be under tension. And this usually happens if you don't have a tie-out point in the correct place. So tarps are really good because unlike a tent, you can actually create a tie-out point wherever you need one. And you do this by creating a button with an object, so we're going to use a pine cone, and you just place it in the area that is giving you a problem. Put a little bit of a twist into the fabric, it won't rip, and then you can just do a very simple, I believe this is called like a marlin spike hitch, but I'm not very good with names, so somebody will have to let me know. And you can actually create a tie-out point anywhere that you need. And now you can see, just by creating an additional tie-out point, we've now got straight edges and faces all the way around. And that's what we like. Now obviously, depending on the kind of tarp you buy will depend on how many tie-out points it's got. You can get some that have tie-out points at one, like 12-inch intervals, and have tie-out points all along the middle. You can, as many tie-out points as you can get as many as you can, but it's always good to know how to make additional ones. So that's now what our setup looks like. sometimes you just have to be persistent with it. Obviously, fires on the ground here are not permitted. That's why we're using a pit. So I can already actually feel the heat starting to reflect, and that fire is a good 4.5 meters, maybe 2 meters away from the back here. So it just goes to show the difference that a fire can actually make, especially with the reflective lining as well. Well, the only thing left to do is wait for that to burn down to a bit of coals so we can cook, and find something else to do with our time. Well, you can hear the absolute orchestra of creatures, and it's fantastic. And there is actually a bat circling. Oh, here he comes. Isn't he fantastic? Let's see if he comes back. Well, and just like that, it's actually already too dark to see me, so I'll just see if we can remedy that a little bit. So that's pretty good. I'm sure you can probably hear the birds just don't seem to stop. There's also somebody over there. But that's okay. Right, so unfortunately, the light that I brought with me has run out of battery. So unfortunately, this means I'm almost impossible to see. But I've got my wee blanket and everything, and I've tucked myself away. I've not changed my clothes tonight. I've just changed into warm socks. But yeah, my torch has run out of battery, so I'm going to call it here, and I will catch up with you when it's lighter. I was actually debating whether or not I should even use this content. I spend a lot of time in the woods, I've spent days and days and days solo camping and hiking about, wild swimming, doing all this kind of stuff, always by myself. I've never been anxious and I've never had a problem, and I've always felt safe. I actually ended up coming home because while I was faffing about trying to get my torch to work, I had some noises in the woods behind me, got my torch to work, boom, and there was actually somebody there. I didn't get a proper look at the guy because I shone my torch and I just saw, you know, the movement quickly dart behind, because obviously there's lots of trees and stuff. And then I saw him again, you know, torch off, doing whatever I'm doing, torch back on, saw him again. So yeah, and basically I decided to finish the video here tonight because I think that it's really important that I use this as an opportunity to remind everybody that it doesn't matter how much experience you have, it doesn't matter whether, you know, what your gender is, it doesn't matter whether you're tall or short, it doesn't matter what tools you have on you. All that actually matters is being sensible and staying safe. So I'm here to demonstrate to you that it's okay, and I'm here to reassure everybody that nobody will ever think any less of you. You know, if you're a beginner and you're anxious and you haven't completed your first solo overnighter yet and you're worried, you know, are you going to be safe, X, Y, Z, that's okay. And it doesn't matter how much experience you have. If at any point you feel unsafe for any reason or you feel anxious, just pack up and go home, because there'll always be another night, but there might not be another night if you let your pride get in the way and you take a risk and put yourself in a situation that's potentially unsafe. I've spent enough time in the woods to know when something's not okay, and I think a guy being creepy in the woods behind me is definitely a valid reason to come home. So that's it from me. I have every intention of going back to that spot another time, but I just think that it's a really good opportunity for me to talk about how important safety is. And actually, I'm used to going out by myself. It's not really a big deal to me. But if you are new to this and you do feel anxious, do whatever you need to do to feel safe. If you do want to watch a complete solo overnighter where I finish the night, then I'll link a couple of cards to some videos of me where I do complete the overnighter. This is the first time ever in my life that I've actually felt so uncomfortable that I've actually bailed on a night and came home. So I'm a bit disappointed, because it was a wonderful night, you know, stars were, it was a perfect autumnal evening, and it had to be spoiled by a weirdo in the woods. I'm normally the weirdo in the woods, so it was a bit of a shock, to be honest. Somebody stealing my job. But anyway, if you are going out, stay safe. And if you don't feel safe, then go home. But that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the woods.